Hello, my name is Jamie, and this is Supplierity News. Here is your supplier diversity news for March 24th, 2021. Today we will be discussing Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan doubling down on their support for minority business enterprises, as well as kind of who they're targeting, as well as small businesses being able to borrow up to half a million with the SBA. But before we get into it, make sure if you enjoy the content to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoy the video, leave a comment, and also share with other people who you think may be interested in this content. All right, so let's begin. So first up, as you can see, minority-owned businesses seeing record support. So wanted to highlight two banks that have really gone above and beyond in terms of doubling down on their support for minority-owned businesses. One is JP Morgan Chase, and the second is Goldman Sachs. Now, I did a video about Goldman Sachs and their commitment of $10 billion focusing on black women in areas that include business, healthcare, housing, things like that. But I also wanted to, since I was on the topic, I also wanted to highlight JP Morgan Chase. Actually, late last year, they announced a pledge of $30 billion to address to address the racial wealth gap over the next 5 years. So you have two companies that are, putting in billions and billions of dollars to try to do what they can to support these communities. So I kind of, broke down what they've done immediately over the past, at least 2 months since February, how they're looking to support these communities. So number one, start off with JP Morgan. They pledged another $350 million on Thursday, so that was in February, to help grow Black, Latinx, and women-owned businesses. Once again, this is towards the racial wealth gap that they're trying to assist. And again, this is over the next 5 years. And they actually talk about what they're actually doing, which is something that, as you know, I'm a really big component of, is how are you actually pushing this out? So for JP Morgan, it is in the form of low interest rate loans, equity investment, and philanthropic investments and diverse-led nonprofits in the United States. So giving money to nonprofits and they, pushing initiatives that they have. Next up is Goldman Sachs on Thursday. So these are two Thursdays, funny enough. So this actually happened last Thursday. Goldman Sachs pledged another $500 million to help grow businesses owned by Black, Latinos, and women-owned businesses under launch with Goldman Sachs, a program that started 3 years ago to close the gender investing gap. So again, you have two banks that are supporting and doing what they can to support these communities in an effort to close that racial wealth gap. So pretty interesting. Wonder if they're connected in any way in terms of maybe not, how they're giving out the money, but wonder if this is some type of, hey, we're two banks that make a lot of money. Is there any way we can support these communities? Next up, economic injury disaster loan program update. So a little bit of not too good history, but it's moving in the right direction overall. So I wanted to kind of point out this, and so when we're looking at the economic injury disaster loan program in the past, it's been around for a decade, and they have made loans of up to $2 million. Now during the pandemic, obviously they figured that there would be a lot more people who were going to be requesting loans, so they actually lowered the cap in terms of how much you would get for the funding because it feared that they would be exhausting the available funding. The issue with going from 2 million to 150,000, well, while it being the money aspect and the fact that we had just so many businesses that probably needed more funding, this limit was not conveyed to the borrowers at the time. So you had people who were going for loans expecting a lot more than the 150,000, and finding out that the cap happened during that process. Not a very good way to handle this. We do know that there was a lot of bumps when it came to these types of loans. I've spoken with several people who either went for funding or was on the opposite end of helping support these funds, and there's a lot of, in terms of the process, it could have been handled better. I'll leave it at that. But what we're seeing now is, moving forward, companies will soon be able to borrow up to $500,000 through the Small Business Administration's Emergency Lending Program starting April 6th. So this is better. Obviously, as small businesses would like to have, access to that up to 2 million, especially nowadays with so many businesses going out of business, so many companies needing additional support to make it through this terrible time. But it is growing to 500,000. There has been talk of pushing for, I believe it's $1 trillion is what the government wants the SBA to give out, uh, overall. So hopefully this is a push towards that. Currently, the agency has 270 billion left to lend through the program. This is, told by James Rivera, head of agency's Office of Disaster Assistance. Now, the positive is that since this has been happening, about 200 billion in disaster loans has been approved to 3.8 million borrowers. So there has been some positives here. Obviously, those companies would have liked to get more money, but you know, something is better than nothing. Kind of like with these checks, right? So this is kind of where it stands today. Hopefully, this increases over time, but definitely wanted to give you that update for today, so you know some things about what's going on with the supply diversity, what's going on with small business, and how it could potentially affect you. Moving forward, I'll try to have some more information about kind of what's going on a weekly basis. These information actually did come out in the past week or so, but as always, thank you so much for your time and listening. If you do like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and share with other people who you think may be interested in this content. Once again, thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.